Next from the News Center, Keiko takes a big leap.
Having that agreement that everybody can live with for much better package car drivers than we are picketers.
Does this mean that big labor will get bolder in general?
We will never go away.
One of the world's most threatening nations, the U.S. tries to make sure they do not build a nuclear bomb. And dramatically improving personal safety for your parents and grandparents. That's tonight's solution.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. It's been the most dramatic confrontation between industry and organized labor in 2 decades. But tonight, the Teamsters are voting on a new contract with United Parcel Service, and if it's approved, which is widely expected, the trucks will roll as early as tomorrow. It's a huge financial relief for the thousands of companies who rely on UPS to deliver their goods. And as you'll hear in our reporting tonight, organized labor thinks it's a very big moment on which labor in general can capitalize. We begin with the details of the settlement. Here's ABC's Bill Rediker.
After 15 days on the picket line, weary Teamsters coast to coast said they were happy.
This is a great victory. This is a great victory for everyone.
But mostly relieved.
Thank you.
In Atlanta, workers agreed it's time to get back to work.
Oh, yes. I'm tired of eating beans and rice.
I'm ecstatic that I'll be able to go back to work.
In Boston, a traditional labor stronghold, there was pride and the belief that union solidarity won the day.
I have never been more proud to be the president of a local union than I have been over these last couple of weeks.
By almost every measure, the tentative settlement appears to be a victory for the union. The Teamsters, over the next 5 years, won 10,000 new full-time jobs. They will be created from existing part-time positions. They won a pay raise for both full-time and part-time employees. And UPS will not take control of the huge worker pension fund.
Working people have taken it on the chin long enough. And it's about time, some folks said, we've got to stand up and fight for it, and I think we've achieved that.
This is what UPS achieved. It maintained the company's 2-tier wage structure. Full-time employees will still be paid about twice as much as part-time workers. And it locked in the terms of the deal for 5 years. The union wanted a 3-year contract.
5 years gives us a lot of time to work on the issues, and certainly, hopefully, gives our customers some peace of mind that this won't happen for 5 years.
For UPS, there is now the question of whether it can win back customers who hired other carriers during the strike. For the union, there is concern about temporary layoffs created by the lost business.
Although the agreement must now be ratified by the union's rank-and-file membership, the leadership believes it has a good deal, and that means those who are on the picket line today will be delivering packages tomorrow. Peter?
Bill, this has been widely cast as a pretty lopsided victory for labor, and grant you $650 million, if that's what it cost UPS, is a lot of money. But they're making a lot of money. Why did UPS actually settle, do you think?
Well, you're absolutely right. This is a very profitable company, so perhaps those losses are overstated. The second reason, besides their profitability, might have to do with market share. They're concerned about the U.S. Postal Service and FedEx starting to take away some of their customers. And third of all, UPS may have gotten a better deal than we know about, but their leadership is not talking about it because they're worried about discouraging the rank and file from voting on it, and they want those workers back tomorrow.
Okay, Bill, thanks so much. Bill Rediker has been in Washington covering this story. There is very much that question of loyalty. What is going through the minds of those UPS customers who have had to find another way for the last 2 weeks? At Eric Bennett's specialty store in New York, mail orders are weeks behind schedule. Bennett has had to use the post office delivery system, going there himself, and the post office had a very heavy load to handle.
My routine and the way I conduct my business, it'll be nice to go back to normal again.
In California, something of a Christmas bonus for Michael and Company. They're a Christmas supply business, and sales have been off more than 30% since the strike began. 20,000 packages sit in the warehouse ready to be shipped.
This is a big income month for our warehouse workers. They work a lot of overtime because it's our busiest season, and we've been sending them home early.
It has been the same for thousands of businesses which have come to rely on United Parcel. From Texas florists and New England lobster farmers, a sigh of relief.
The revenue it cost us was about $10,000 a day.
On the other hand, which is why UPS was under some pressure to settle, the Betty Wales Bridal Corporation discovered that UPS was not the only game in town. They have found other delivery companies just as efficient with rates that are competitive.
We learned a good lesson. never to put all our eggs in one basket ever again.
Well, as best we can tell by the sound of his public statements anyway, the settlement is particularly satisfying for the Teamster president, Ron Carey. For 11 years, he was a UPS driver himself. It's been a long, fallow period for organized labor, and so we asked ABC's Bob Jamieson to take a closer look at whether this union experience might translate into more aggressive unions in general.
Union leaders and some economists believe that the Teamsters strike may turn out to be a pivotal moment for American labor after a decade and a half of declining membership and power.
This is a clear victory for the Teamsters and a strike that's been very popular among the American people. So I think it really gives unions a sense to get back on the map. I think this victory is saying labor's back.
Some believe this settlement may embolden labor the way management was emboldened in 1981 when President Reagan crushed the air traffic controllers and used replacement workers. In those days, labor represented a quarter of the American workforce. Today, 16 years later, it represents just 15%. Recently, most of big labor's battles have been big defeats. The United Auto Workers were forced to abandon a strike against Caterpillar. 1,000 Detroit newspaper workers, represented by the Teamsters, are still waiting to be recalled 6 months after abandoning their strike. But in this case, organized labor was unified across the board, and the striking Teamsters had strong public support.
They've been able to tap into a lot of the public concern about wage levels, about job insecurity, about job quality. And I think that that's positioned themselves as defenders not just of the narrow interests of unionized workers, but of much broader segment of the U.S. society.
For years, employers have held down salaries because workers feared they could not easily find another job. But now it's the reverse. Employers can't find enough workers. And this settlement, particularly the promise of adding more full-time workers, may affect wages across the economy. Now, other workers are likely to look at the UPS settlement and say, why don't we hold out for more?
The balance of power might be shifting back toward labor and away from companies. The economy is very strong. It would be surprising not to see that wage compensation returns to workers go up in this situation.
There may be an important message from all of this for American business. With a robust economy, workers are ready to ask for a bigger share of the prosperity, and unions are now ready to take advantage of that. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, New York.
And finally, the stock market seemed generally pleased with the UPS settlement. The Dow Jones Industrials gained 114 points today to close at 79.18. On the NASDAQ market, stocks gained just a touch above 31 points. So when we come back, we'll have some of the day's other news, assigning the blame for the Value Jet plane crash, failure all the way up and down the line. Putting the pieces back together. On the Russian space station Mir, they made a little progress. And the San Diego school that teaches you how to deal with the bull.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Charles Schwab.
Looking for historically high-performing mutual funds? You'll find lots of them and more right here. Mutual Fund OneSource from Schwab. 600 funds, no loads. Call for the select list free or get it all online at schwab.com right now. This is investing the way it should be.
It's time.
Time?
Time to check out Flonase.
Flonase?
Flonase nasal spray.
Flonase nasal spray.
Ask your doctor for a trial of Flonase.
Good idea.
Flonase nasal spray.
I'll check it out.
After 30 years of dirt and 30 years of cleaning, a Moen faucet with the new LifeShine finish will look as good as it did 30 years ago. LifeShine by Moen. Buy it for looks. Buy it for life.
Heartburn on the run is the worst. I need relief and fast. Good thing I've got Maalox tablets.
And only Maalox chewable tablets have the same ingredients as liquid antacids. Tums doesn't, Rolaids doesn't. So count on Maalox tablets for fast relief.
Temporary relief isn't enough when the problem's here, and here. Now long-term help is here. Glucosamine chondroitin from Sundown helps your body repair and rebuild cartilage. Repair, rebuild, renew.
Couple of briefings from our correspondents today on generally familiar stories. One is the final report from federal investigators of the ValueJet airline crash last year, and the other is the attempt to prevent the Russian space station from falling apart altogether. First, ValueJet. You'll remember that oxygen canisters in the cargo hold of the DC-9 caught on fire. The crew was overcome by smoke, and the plane with 110 people on board flew blind right into the Florida Everglades. ABC's Lisa Stark, who's in Washington, has studied the final report. Lisa, first of all, who gets the blame?
Well, Peter, first SaberTech, they handled maintenance for ValueJet. They did not properly package those oxygen canisters, and SaberTech is blamed for ValueJet is blamed for lax oversight of SaberTech.
And what about the Federal Aviation Administration?
The board also said the FAA caused this crash by failing to require fire protection systems in all cargo holds. That had been recommended for years. And the FAA, the board said, should be the safety net for all passengers, and it was not.
And is there any way to sum all this up? Tell us the story, if you would, about the intercom or the telephone.
The telephone system between the cabin and the cockpit was not working on this flight. So, Peter, flight attendants actually had to open the cockpit door to warn pilots that the plane was on fire. That allowed some smoke to get in the cockpit. The board said this is totally unacceptable. They want the FAA to ground any planes, to not let them fly if these phones are not working.
Lisa Stark in Washington, thanks very much. The news from the Russian space station, Mir, is somewhat more positive today. The Russians on board and the American astronaut Michael Foale have found the proper spare part, and they have managed to restart the main computer. ABC's Morton Dean is here to brief us from Moscow tonight, Russian mission control. The news sounds a little more positive today. Is it significant enough to be based up by the facts as far as you know?
Well, I think it is, based on what top officials here at Mission Control have told us all during the day, Peter. That replacement part was located on the Mir. It was placed into the main computer which crashed on the Mir yesterday. It is operating once again, although it has not been totally reprogrammed. Some other good news, the space station is not gyrating as wildly as it was yesterday at the time when you and I talked about it. And also the solar wings are once again absorbing some of the sun's energy, and that means that the batteries on board the Mir are being recharged once again. That's the good news.
Any bad news today?
Well, I guess the bad news is it's still the Mir. It's still a battered 11-year-old space station. And the attempt to begin repairs on the damage from that June 25th collision with the cargo ship, those repairs have been delayed by at least a day, so they won't be taking place tomorrow.
Okay, Morton Dean at Mission Control in Moscow. Many thanks. When we come back, we will go inside the world's most secretive country, where the story is starving children and the nuclear question.
Chocolate Dannon Double Delights. Double the treat with 1 single gram of fat.
Chocolate from you, a dream come true.
Creamy, low-fat yogurt, chocolate topping. So you savor flavors like chocolate cheesecake, rich and swirling, or chocolate-covered strawberries, hand-dipped.
Dannon, here's a side of you I love.
Dannon Double Delights.
Taste why it's Dannon.
I could use something for this headache, Liz. I've got Tylenol. I thought you used something else. No, my doctor told me to switch. Really? How come? He said Tylenol won't irritate my stomach the way aspirin and even ibuprofen sometimes can. And Tylenol's strong enough. Oh, yeah. It works great.
To avoid the risk of stomach irritation, Tylenol is the pain reliever doctors recommend most.
You ready for more guy talk? I am now.
Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Is that the right size battery for my car? It doesn't seem to fit.
Don't worry, we'll make it fit. We've been doing this a long time.
It's not going in. Just keep hitting it.
I'm not comfortable with we'll make it fit.
Why not? If it fits, it fits.
It's perfect. Good job.
Pep Boys has the right battery at the right price. 31,000 items at the guaranteed low price, tires and service too. Pep Boys, everything but gas.
Because wrinkles appear out of nowhere.
We've created Pond's Prevent and Correct Lotion. Actually, 2 different moisturizers. One with SPF for day, one with alpha hydroxys for night, to help prevent and correct the signs of aging.
Honey, let's fix up that fence.
Too much money, too much work.
Introducing Thompson's Fence Care. Clean and protect for just pennies a square foot.
Hey, who did the fence?
She did.
Dirt's out, color's in. Thompson's Fence Care.
Tonight on Nightline, after 158 years, the hazing and rigorous physical standards remain as a bastion of all male education enters a new era. Women at VMI on Nightline, followed by Politically Incorrect tonight.
Overseas today, counting on a North Korean promise. The United States has long regarded North Korea as a world-class belligerent nation, hardly trustworthy to say the least. But today, an international consortium led by the U.S. began helping the North Koreans build 2 nuclear reactors on the promise by the North Koreans that they will eventually dismantle any nuclear weapons program they have. ABC's Deborah Wong reports today from Yeonghwa.
Reporters were allowed only a few hours in the country, but long enough to witness a milestone. Today, members of the international community presented North Korea with a $4.5 billion gift. They symbolically broke ground on the site of a new nuclear power plant, part of an agreement aimed at stopping North Korea from possessing nuclear arms.
The work we celebrate today is on the cutting edge of future progress in the search for peace on this peninsula.
The country is to abandon its Soviet-style nuclear reactors, which are capable of producing fuel for nuclear weapons, and it gets 2 new reactors, not suitable for weapons production, in return. North Korea is now in desperate need of such extravagant gifts to rescue it from economic ruin.
They face a general economic crisis. The food shortages are the most visible manifestation of that.
The few outside agencies allowed in say food rations have been cut to only 3 ounces of grain per day. They've witnessed scenes like these.
We have seen children up to the age of 15 who are very severely malnourished, significant thousands of them close to dying as a result of malnutrition.
North Koreans want assistance, but on their own terms. They don't help their case by continuing to spend money on massive military displays or by restricting what foreign visitors can see.
Congress has the will to send the aid, but they don't have the assurance that the aid is going to reach the people it's supposed to reach.
And that is the dilemma facing the U.S. and other countries, how to help a nation whose people may be starving without coddling an intransigent regime. This project is not expected to be completed for another 6 years, and only then will it be clear whether the North has lived up to its